Hell yeah. That feels good, baby. We are back in business. Well, that was rather anticlimactic. After some quick roadside diagnosis by Joe the Mountain Jedi, we found out that Barf Party over here, the Vomit Comet, has smoked yet another ignition. The first ignition we could kind of write off. It was the original cheapo Ultima ignition that I had in my old 80-inch Evo, but this was a brand new high 4 SNS ignition, okay? They ain't cheap, and it shouldn't just give up the ghost like that. So there's either something happening in the wiring here with the M unit, or the engine is running too hot and it's just ice in that ignition. A lot of guys say that the high 4, the SNS ignitions, they say that they're very sensitive to heat. This is a 124 cubic inch engine. Maybe it just produces too much heat for the SNS. I don't know, but we got some figuring to do to see what's making these things pop. I'll tell you, I was really looking forward to some high horsepower fun on a very sketchy motorcycle, and the Vomit Comet is no longer able to provide that. Luckily, I think I still have a solution to scratch that itch.
I've seen horrors that you've seen.
You know, there's a lot of different types of motorcycles in this world. There's fun motorcycles, there's fast motorcycles, there's motorcycles that are practical, motorcycles that serve a purpose, motorcycles that take us to and from work, motorcycles that we take out just to have a little bit of fun on the twisties, a nice putt around the neighborhood or out in the country. You know the type I'm talking about. And then there's another type of motorcycle, a motorcycle that lives in the darkest heart of every man, a motorcycle that is an agent of pure chaos, death, destruction, and hates mankind with every fiber of its being. And that motorcycle is the Supercharged Vmax. There is absolutely no good reason that I am in possession of a supercharged Vmax. Here's the thing, if you can come up with a reason, if you can really lie to yourself enough to come up with a reason that you should have this bike, you gotta be careful, Bubba. You can't be telling lies to yourself like that. Therein lies the path to doing deeds that you did not think mankind was capable of. If you can lie to yourself to the point where you say, I need this bike, I have good reasons to own a supercharged Vmax, my friend, you are capable of committing atrocities that would shock the world. There is no good reason to own a motorcycle like this. None at all. This motorcycle is an agent of pure chaos. In the darkest parts of the hearts of every man, there lives a dark other. Sometimes called the stranger, sometimes the walking dude, sometimes by his true name, Asmodeus. He lives inside us all, but only few let him out. The unwelcome stranger, the dark passenger, one half of Cain and Abel, the very first part of the very first man to ever raise a stone against his brother, the angry, the covetous, the vengeful. The man in the shadows with a large hat and no face knocking on your back door. He speaks in a sweet tongue, but if you let him in, the deeds that you will do, the things that you can justify. A slippery slope, my friends, and the first step on that ugly and twisted path is making a reason to own a motorcycle like this. Because when that twisted stranger shows up to your back door, this is the motorcycle that he's riding. And boys, I'll tell you, when you hear that supercharger whine and you get on this sucker right here, as much as I'm preaching against it, all of a sudden I find myself with a few reasons that I should have this bike. No man is immune from temptation. And this bike is pure temptation.
We interrupt this video to bring you a special message from our sponsors. Yes, there's a sponsor, and as always, the sponsor of the Shade Tree Surgeon video is me. Well, not me, you, actually. Brapstar.com and the rags we sell there to cover your disgusting, shameful nudity is how we run this channel. It's how we buy motorcycles and have the money to fix them up, to raft them off for forgotten angels. It's how we do everything we do on this channel when it comes to making YouTube videos. So really, the sponsors of all of these videos are you guys out there. So I put the question out as to what people wanted to see back in stock in the Brapstar store. We don't have enough money to keep everything in stock all the time, so we kind of layer it, and everybody said they wanted the OG logo back. They wanted the OG opening logo, the Shade Tree Surgeon Power Cord logo, and then of course the Ken Dean Wizard, the two designs that started it all. I also got a ton of requests to run the previous one we did, which was the Not All Who Wander Are Lost and the Wild and Free design, because we only ran that pre-order for a week and a lot of people told me they didn't have time to get it, or they didn't even know about it on the videos or through emails. When you buy a shirt or you sign up for the email list, that's the only way I ever announce when stuff's coming out. But the OGs and the last one we did are back right now if you want to order one. We're only doing it for 1 week and the week is halfway over. This pre-order ends on Sunday. So you've got 4 more days if you want to grab one, and if you do grab one, I appreciate you so much. So does Shay Lisi and Cami Bay and everyone else who's involved in the Shade Tree Surgeon channel, the Brapstar crew, everybody out there. You guys are amazing. You're the ones who keep this channel independent. And since we're talking about that, it only makes sense that we're bringing back the original designs that started Brapstar in the first place one last time. That link's down below. Grab one if you want one. You guys are amazing. Now let's get back to the video. I started on the FXR, the Vomit Comet. I jumped over to the Supercharged Vmax, the Heart of Darkness. This video's already all over the place, man. I think we should just start it over. We should start from the beginning, go back to the start, and just do it all over again, man. Where did we start? Where did we start? That's right, we started on an FXR. Let's try this again. What's up, Weirdo? Shade Tree Surgeon here, hanging out at the fort with my man Joe the Mountain Jedi, who was just inside the garage showing all you guys how a carburetor works, and me too. Like, carburetors are something that I use every day when I ride a carbureted motorcycle, but knowing how they work, it's kind of like magic, man. I just enjoy the benefits without actually knowing what's going on. Stay tuned for that video. It'll be coming out soon. But now we're going to see another wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Weems. Today, Joe's on the Bastard Glide, which is literally Yamaha's interpretation of a shovel head. And if I hadn't seen inside one with Joe, I wouldn't believe it either, but trust me, it is. We'll be riding that and an actual shovel head. Guess which one runs better? I had the mysterious doctor girlfriend out for a date on this shovelhead the other day, and she calls it the bike with all the bells and whistles. And since it's a 1982 shovelhead, obviously it doesn't have very amenities, she says the bike with all the bells and whistles because of all the mysterious sounds it makes. The shovelhead has a wide variety of sounds and smells, and yes, it did break down with her on the back, but only temporarily. What is dead may never die. A shovelhead will always proceed as long as you have faith. Seriously, a lot of faith. Oh man, my headlight just went out. No high beams, no low beams. Yeah. Well, it's a shovel head. You don't make any trip without something going wrong. When it comes to motorcycles, what we always say around here, what is dead may never die, and it's very fitting for a shovel head and many heart transplants that old Joe's Bastard Glide has been through, but especially true for my man Weems Motor Co., who's just now building a race motorcycle out of parts and engines that are probably too old to drive. I think he's got parts on that bike that are like almost 80 years old. Now, I'm not saying you can't drive when you're 80, but you know, things are starting to get suspect after a little while. I should watch my mouth, because when I'm 80 years old, if I live to see 80 years old, I sure hope I'm still allowed to ride motorcycles, but something tells me even if I wasn't allowed to ride motorcycles, I'd probably still find a way. Very stoked to go see this motorcycle though, and it's going to be its first start, and my very good friend Jared Weems invited me over to bear witness to breathing life back into this ancient and weary monster. I love a good resurrection story. Weems Motor Co. Motorco's shop is the opposite of a TARDIS. It is much smaller on the inside than it appears online. There's so many things in here, it seems huge, but I promise you, you put one more person in here, you're gonna have to oil me up. You put another couple guys in here. Actually, that's a video for a different website. Today, we're doing race bikes. The oldest part of this motorcycle is what year?
1928.
1928. I said in my video, people always talk about when they have an old motorcycle part, they're like, oh, it's old enough to vote. It's old enough to drink. It's old enough to drive. The engine on this motorcycle is too old to drive.
Yeah, it's old enough to be in the grave. 96 years old.
Dude, I'm sure there's a 96-year-old out there still driving, and I'm sure that they're in Florida.
There's a pair of bony knuckles on the steering wheel and a poof of blue hair.
But I'm telling you right now, it's something else when you can ride around something that's literally too old to drive, almost too old to be alive. As we say here, what is dead may never die, and my friend Weem is a incredibly nice Christian boy, but as we said today, he's playing a necromancer.
Weems.
Weems. Sorry.
Say Weems.
Dude, I'm
It's
bad
I
with
get
it, man.
so much crap when I go to shows because people watch his YouTube channel and they come up, hey Weem.
Wait, is it Weems Motor Co? I thought there was an apostrophe in there. We're still on that?
The apostrophe would be after the S.
Oh, so here's the thing. I thought it was one way, then I went the other way, now I was back again.
You're confusing yourself.
Me? No, I'm sure it's Weem. Just because you're not confused doesn't mean you're not wrong. You can be confident and wrong, and so, in fact, it's much more dangerous as just evidence. All right, Weems Motor Co. I'm gonna keep all my teeth where they are. I don't need another gold one. Dude, I'm freaking, I haven't seen it in person yet. Oh, dude, the way he pulls that off. Oh my God, dude. You're the only person I know that can do this. I'm sure, obviously, there are other people. It's another motorcycle that already looks like it belongs in Barber.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think I understood before the fact that Weems was using everything from old motorcycles. Like, obviously, you've got rubber that's not vintage and spokes and a few other things that would be foolish to make vintage. But now that I'm looking at this, I say it looks like it belongs in Barber because this motorcycle looks like it's from 1929.
28.
1928. It looks like it's from 1928. It could be an early 1928, but an early 1929 model. Yeah. So.
My whole goal for it was to make it look like a motorcycle that was actually manufactured. But the name Dolly Mongrel is actually from the British slang language called Cockney, and it says basically the pretty mutt. Everything on this motorcycle is from different motorcycles. Probably like that old Johnny Cash song, One Piece at a Time, you know?
That's a very spirit of race bikes though, isn't it?
1928 JAP engine. The frame is a 1936 Royal Enfield. The tank is a 1947 Norton. Front end is a 1942 BSA M20. Rear fender is off of a Vincent. The rear wheel is from a 1939 Triumph. Oil tank is from a pre-unit Triumph. The little tool carrier is from a BSA D1. Foot pegs from an Ariel. So that seat is an original Dunlop Trials racing seat. So there is just a frame underneath here, but there's nothing, like no springs or anything. It's just the rubber acts as your padding per se. All kinds of crazy stuff, just all British though. So that was the whole point, was I got permission to race with a bunch of American only racing guys, and they gave me permission to use that engine. I don't even know if they know that JAP engines are from England, so I said screw it, I'm building an old British motorcycle. I'm the first person to be able to race an all British bike with the Sons of Speed race team.
That's so freaking cool, dude. Anything can look old if you antique it. Right? If you put a patina on it, it looks old. Making something look old while it's spotless, that's a trick.
Well, and especially using, I mean, none of these are repopped parts. These are all original parts that were just restored and cleaned up and made pretty. I mean, but there's also a lot on here that was custom fabrication because none of this stuff ever lived together. To get that engine to work in that frame, to work with that gearbox, to work with that front end, but also make it look like it was originally together as a motorcycle. That was probably the hardest part. Example, the engine plates. I wanted them to look like something that came out of, you know, 1928 through 1947. So the newest parts on it is the tank, 1947, unless you want to count the tires and the spokes.
No, well, we won't count those. Don't worry about those guys. If you're using 1947 spokes and racing,
it better be new old stock.
Yeah, it's so good. You nailed it, man.
Thank you, sir.
You fucking nailed it. Big time.
out.
Whoa. Damn, this thing's violent.
Fire extinguishers.
Oh yeah, show me where the fire extinguishers are. I got it, dude. I'm gonna be holding it.
Don't spray it until I tell you to spray it.
I'll use my judgment.
I don't think I'll be on fire. Alright,
All
let's
right.
have it.
My finger's on the trigger. I'm ready. Now we're back to the Silverwing Turd Ferguson, soon to be Raspberry Buffet Jr. And I know it doesn't look like much right now, but the idea is that we're gonna turn this into something that isn't at Weems Motor Co. level, but it's still something you're gonna want. As I said, if you live in the state of Oregon, save you receipts for every single cannabis product that you buy from either Brapstar or Sugar Tree Farms or Sessions in the state of Oregon. Make sure you save that when you go visit your dispensary, because each one of those receipts is going to count for a ticket to win this thing. Now, they're getting a great product for your money out there anyway. Sessions and Brapstar out there, we are making what I consider to be an amazing product for an even more amazing price. Nobody can touch us on price out there. You get the bang for your buck that people are looking for. But so I feel like our products up there sell themselves already, but let's try to make this bike into something that'll convince you too. If you guys remember, we stopped last time after pulling the engine out, pulling some parts off to polish them, and that's basically where we're at right now. We gotta pull the engine the rest of the way out of the bike, because I can't polish all those parts and not have the engine look good too. The paint is great on the engine, but it definitely needs to be pulled out and given a deep steam cleaning to make sure it looks perfect in there. I've also got to pull the front forks. Not only am I going to polish the aluminum lowers, but they also need to be rebuilt. That's enough talking. Let's get to doing. All right, there should be nothing else connecting this engine to the motorcycle, I hope. I think we are completely free. Oh, one more thing. What is that? One more thing. There's always one more thing. What are you? Oh, a tachometer. Okay. Not weird. I was never going to get everything. Well, I mean, come on. We're getting everything. I was never going to get everything on the first go. I don't think I've ever dropped a motor, taken a motor of any car or motorcycle, and gotten it all on the first go. All right. I think that actually got it that time. Awesome. And now begs the question, can I lift this off of there and onto a cart without dropping it on my toe? Fingers crossed. All right, baby. We are out. This engine has officially been devolved. There goes some more coolant. Whoops. Oh, I found myself with a distinct lack of vessels right now. As I was saying, let's go ahead and get this engine some TV dinners, a yellow Corvette, and one of those funny little Peaky Blinders hats, because it has officially been divorced from the motorcycle. We'll put it like this. Much like many other things that I've done on this motorcycle up to this point, is it perfect? Absolutely not. Does it look better? Yes. I guess how much better it looks just depends on how generous you want to be to your old pal, Shade Tree Surgeon. Moving on, because I'm not going to get perfect unless I really start disassembling and repainting some stuff. Let's go ahead and make these forks shiny. Definitely a lot easier when you get to use the angle grinder instead of the Dremel. Well, it's starting to look pretty damn good. These things came out looking pretty damn good, man. I like it. Intakes are looking good too. Not everything on this motorcycle is going to be polished, even though theoretically the engine is aluminum. You could polish the entire thing. I'm not going to do that. I think it looks pretty good, and I think like a nice contrast between painted parts and polished parts is actually a really good look on an engine. Plus, this ain't going to be a show bike, even though I think it's going to look really cool. It's going to be a rider, and a completely polished water-cooled engine is a lot of surface area for whoever wins that to keep clean. So I'm not going to do that to you. I also forgot to mention that the carburetors are now completely rebuilt by the one and only Joe the Mountain Jedi. Now, we were originally making a video about this, but Joe just wasn't happy with how it was turning out.
I care about making motorcycles run right. I don't care about keeping people happy.
He wants to give the correct information in a consumable way. He doesn't want to make a video about how to rebuild carburetors and how carburetors work unless he is happy with how the information comes across. He's not skipping any steps, and he just doesn't want anybody to be confused. You know, I make entertaining videos. Well, I mean, some people would say that they're not entertaining, but for the guys and gals out there who do find them entertaining, thank you. So anyway, I make entertaining videos, not really educational videos. And Joe wants to make sure that he's not just making an entertaining video, he's making a video that will actually help somebody. So we went ahead and scrapped the carburetor video. That's all right. That was Joe's decision. He's got standards, and he felt like the video wasn't up to his standards, and I absolutely respect that. And I think that speaks volumes to who Joe the Mountain Jedi is and what he feels comfortable putting out there as far as information and education. Rapstar.com, we've got the new designs up right now. Like I said, that's the best way you can support this channel, support what we do, and help us make more videos. I do have a Patreon, of course, but you know, I like you guys to get something for your money. If you're on the Patreon, thank you. Don't let me talk no mess about people who support the channel through Patreon, but I like you to get something for your money. So hit Rapstar.com down below, grab some threads to cover your shameful nakedness, maybe even get a It's Not a Cult shirt, and meet a fellow weirdo near you. There are weirdos near you who want to get to know you. One of my favorite things ever is how people connect across the country, both through finding other people who are wearing, you know, It's Not a Cult shirts or the Shade Tree Surgeon shirt or anything like that, and they get to know each other. And just, I freaking love that, man. They get to know each other, they ride together. A lot of them end up riding down here to Tampa to the camp out together. It's freaking awesome, man. Weirdos unite. And once again, that's gonna about do it for this one. Till next time, y'all, keep it weird.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Armies of the night, evil taking flight. Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Panic spreading far and wide. Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Shade tree, army. Shade tree, army. Who will risk it all to end the evil call of Shade Tree, army. Shade Tree, army. They never give up, they never say die, walking tall with banners high. Shade Tree Army, a ruthless gang of scum, villains, freaks, and bikers determined to rule the world.